The halls of Congress are electric tonight as the big, beautiful bill takes center stage. What's unfolding right now in plain sight has the Democrats in absolute panic. The numbers being exposed astronomical, the impact on your wallet revolutionary. While the left mounts a desperate last stand to protect their failed economic agenda, the freight train of prosperity can't be stopped. And by the end of this report, you'll understand why this could be the biggest economic transformation since Reagan, and why no amount of progressive opposition can derail what's coming. The countdown has begun, so stay with us. And just as this big, beautiful bill aims to restore American prosperity, isn't it time to restore your body's natural balance? Nearly half of all U.S. adults struggle with high blood pressure, but pharmaceutical companies don't want you knowing about this natural solution. This unique formula helps manage blood pressure, cholesterol, and blood sugar with ingredients like white mulberry leaf and cinnamon bark powder. It's already helping thousands reclaim their health naturally. Visit boostwithgary.com. You'll find a link below this video and take advantage of their 40% off special plus fast shipping and a 60-day money-back guarantee. We thank our sponsors for supporting this program and you for watching and sharing our work. Now let's talk about the big, beautiful bill. We've been hearing about it for weeks and weeks and weeks. It is shaking Capitol Hill. President Trump boasting a $5.1 trillion Gulf deal, sky-high polls, and a laser-focused, lockstep GOP determined to unleash the largest middle-class tax cut ever. The Capitol's buzzing. Voters are cheering. We're going to break it all down. So the unified House, it roars with cameras rolling. Trump applauds Speaker Johnson for herding a one-vote majority through 5 months of knife-edge battles, flipping 7 seats, keeping MAGA bills alive, party chants, one team and one mission as stock futures spike.
And we have a very, very united party. This man has done a fantastic job, and so have you, Lisa. But this man has done a fantastic job. He's a real unifier. I don't think anybody else could have done it. We had, I just said to your cohorts downstairs, we had a majority of 1 for a period of 5 months. And he kept it together, and we actually passed things. And nobody else could have done it. He's done a fantastic job as Speaker. We have a very, very unified party. Remember, we had 1, and now we have 7. We won elections. We won elections. And we're going to win a lot of elections. The economy is good. I just had my highest poll numbers ever. And we had a big trip to the Middle East. We took in $5.1 trillion. We brought it back to our country. 180 Boeing aircraft are being built now because of that trip, and many other things. That's the least of it. The economy is doing great. The stock market's higher now than when I came to office, and we've taken in hundreds of billions of dollars in tariff money, and we've had no inflation. You know, they kept saying inflation. There's no inflation. Groceries are down. Gasoline is way down. Way down. Everything is down. All energy costs are down. I'll tell you, to me, maybe the most respected thing, you saw the way they respected me between Qatar and Saudi Arabia and UAE, probably the richest, certainly the richest of their type nation, great places, unbelievable amounts of money. They respect our country again. They were going to go to China. China was going to take over those countries 100%. They were dealing with China because they weren't treated right by the last administration. And they have tremendous economic power. They have more money than anybody. We probably have more money, but we have other things. They are very, very cash rich, to put it mildly. And they're spending $5.1 trillion. Probably it's going to be $7 trillion by the time we stop. And somebody said every other president goes and leaves and spends money, gives other countries money. I'm the only one that goes and takes money back. When you think of it, I said, that's an interesting statement. I never thought of it that way. But we have this is really just a pep talk. We have a very unified House, and we have a very unified Senate. And Mike is doing a phenomenal job as Speaker. He's going to be there a long time. And we have a man in the Senate, our leader, Thune. Mr. Thune is doing a great job. I've gotten to like him a lot, and he's doing a fantastic job. Between the two guys, very different personalities, actually, in certain ways, but they are doing a fantastic job. I don't think the Republican Party has ever been so unified. It's become a much bigger...
The clock is ticking fast. Speaker Mike Johnson tells Fox the budget panel gavels in tonight. Rules by midweek, House floor by Memorial Day. 11 committees slash waste and border-proofed the vehicle, cementing 2017 tax cuts because failure is not an option.
Once in a generation. They're going well, Shannon. We're on track, working around the clock to deliver this nation-shaping legislation for the American people as soon as possible. Look, all 11 of our committees have wrapped up their work, and they spent less and saved more than even we projected initially. This really is once-in-a-generation opportunity that we have here. So you heard there the update. The Budget Committee will reconvene this evening. They'll get that through the committee, and the plan is to move it to the Rules Committee by midweek and to the House floor by the end of the week, so we meet our original Memorial Day deadline. Now, look, Shannon, it's very important for everybody to understand why we're being so aggressive on the timetable and why this really is so important. This is the vehicle through which we will deliver on the mandate that the American people gave us in the last election. You're going to have historic savings for the American people, historic tax relief for American workers, historic investments in border security, at the same time that we're restoring American energy dominance, and we're rebuilding the defense industrial base, and we're ensuring that programs like Medicaid and SNAP are strengthened for the U.S. citizens who need and deserve them, and not being squandered away by illegal aliens and persons who are ineligible to receive them and are cheating the system. And look, the tax cuts, look, is critical. We're going to make the 2017 tax cuts permanent. We're going to eliminate taxes on overtime and tips, as the president promised. New tax relief for seniors on Social Security, and we're going to cut taxes on job creators, so that will help everybody across the country at the same time as incentivizing American-made production and manufacturing. This is a big thing. We cannot fail, and we'll get it done for the American people.
Oh, man, I can't wait. The beautiful bill, the big beautiful bill was unveiled. Press Dynamo Caroline Leavitt hails it. No tax on tips, bigger child credit, newborn savings, and a $10,000 bonus for ICE and Border Patrol, the largest pro-worker, pro-family overhaul in U.S. history. Let's listen in to the press briefing when it was announced.
First policies. The One Big Beautiful Bill passed the House Budget Committee last night, bringing it one step closer to final passage. The One Big Beautiful Bill is perfectly named because it represents a once-in-a-generation opportunity to deliver on the Make America Great Again agenda responsible for President Trump's landslide victory on November 5th. The America First policies in this bill are the reason why Republicans currently have the majority in Congress right now. Passing this bill is what voters sent Republicans to Washington to accomplish. And that's why it's essential that every Republican in the House and the Senate unites behind President Trump and passes this popular and essential legislative package. This bill will be the single most pro-small business, pro-family, and pro-American worker legislation ever. This bill will give Americans the largest tax cuts in our nation's history. When Republicans pass the bill, Americans will be keeping more of their hard-earned money and taking home much bigger paychecks. The One Big Beautiful Bill will deliver some of President Trump's central campaign promises. No tax on tips for our hardworking waiters, waitresses, and service workers. No tax on overtime for our law enforcement officers, our firefighters, and all those Americans who are putting in extra hours to make ends meet. And a large tax deduction on interest payments for Americans who purchase American-made cars. Despite desperate Democrat lies, the biggest beneficiary of this tax cut will be working-class Americans and their families. Americans earning between $30,000 and $80,000 per year will pay about 15% less in taxes after this legislation is passed. And according to a brand new paper from the White House Council of Economic Advisors, the average family with 2 children's take-home pay will be up to $13,000 higher because of the increase in wages and reductions in tax obligations. The CEA study also said that the average overtime worker receives a tax cut of roughly $2,000. Again, this is great news for our nurses, our police officers, and all those who work overtime to make ends meet across our country. Put simply, President Trump's One Big Beautiful Bill will be a boon for working-class America. This One Big Beautiful Bill is also pro-family. It will increase the child tax credit to $2,500 per child, establish optional savings account for newborn babies with a $1,000 credit added, and strengthen paid family leave. This bill also delivers historic tax relief to America's seniors by allowing middle and low-income Social Security recipients to deduct an additional $4,000 in payments from their taxable income. If Democrats get their way and the Trump tax cuts are not extended, Americans will face the largest tax hike in history to the tune of $4 trillion. Republicans must not side with Democrats in helping them raise taxes. The One Big Beautiful Bill also provides critical protections of Medicaid, which will strengthen and preserve the program for decades to come through common sense efforts to eliminate waste, fraud, and abuse. Medicaid will no longer be used to pay for barbaric gender mutilation procedures on minor children. And the 1.4 million illegal aliens who are currently improperly receiving Medicaid benefits will be kicked off the program to preserve it for hardworking American citizens who need it. President Trump and Republicans are protecting Medicaid benefits for pregnant women, children, disabled individuals, low-income seniors and families, and the most vulnerable Americans in our society. And that's what Democrats are so angry about. Basic Medicaid protections that will stop the funding of transgender insanity and illegal aliens from ripping off American taxpayers. As you all know, over his first 4 months in office, President Trump ended the previous administration's open border crisis and secured our homeland in record time, all using executive authority. Now Congress needs to act. The One Big Beautiful Bill is the most significant investment in our nation's border patrol and law enforcement agents in our nation's history. The bill ensures that President Trump's popular and successful border security measures are made permanent. Republicans have the backs of Border Patrol and ICE agents who were put through hell over the past 4 years and have quickly worked to secure our southern border. And that's why this bill gives them more resources to do their jobs, including a $10,000 much-needed bonus to ICE agents and Border Patrol agents over the next 4 years. To provide those brave agents with desperately needed reinforcements on the ground, the bill allows for the hiring of thousands of new ICE personnel, customs officers, and Border Patrol agents. These significant hirings will empower President Trump to continue delivering on his promise to carry out the largest mass deportation in the history of our country. Again, that is a promise that Republicans made to American voters. It's a promise they were elected on, and it's a promise Republicans on Capitol Hill need to keep: secure our border. To supplement those efforts, the bill's funds will fund the completion of President Trump's signature border wall. As a result, 701 miles of primary wall, 900 miles of river barriers, 629 miles of secondary barriers, and 141 miles of vehicle and pedestrian barriers will be constructed when this bill passes, along with cutting-edge technology to secure our homeland from dangerous illegal alien invaders. This bill also advances our national security and defense interests by ensuring the United States military has the necessary resources to remain the strongest and most lethal fighting force in the world. The bill will provide resources for the construction of President Trump's Golden Dome to safeguard Americans from potential attacks, give the Coast Guard resources to build more modernized ships, and the Air Force resources to acquire better planes. If all of those incredible things were not enough, the Big Beautiful Bill also finally modernizes air traffic control in America, a bipartisan issue. The bill will allow President Trump to deliver on his promise to overhaul and update our air traffic control systems to keep Americans flying as safe and efficiently as possible. The previous administration failed to act and do this themselves, despite repeated warnings from the GAO, which has resulted in unacceptable delays at major airports like Newark that the Trump administration is working hard to address. When the One Big Beautiful Bill passes, we will replace the current antiquated system, the FAA will enhance safety in our skies, reduce delays, and power the future of air travel in the United States. That's just some of what this historic legislation will accomplish. It is absolutely essential that Republicans unite behind the One Big Beautiful Bill and deliver on President Trump's agenda. There is no time to waste. Americans gave Republicans a once-in-a-generation opportunity to course-correct our country over many wrongs over the past 4 years. And Americans are counting on Republicans to work as hard as President Trump is in this White House every day on Capitol Hill. Send this legislation to his desk as soon as possible for his signature. The One Big Beautiful...
How awesome is that? And we've got the growth rocket locks. Council of Economic Advisors predicts GDP jumps 4.2 to 5.2%, 7 million new jobs bloom, and a family of four pockets an extra $8,000 to $13,000 once the bill passes. Proof supply side surge turns paychecks into power. Are you tired of winning yet? Come on, baby, let's go.
Pay by about the Council of Economic Advisors just put out a white paper. It's on our website. You can get it at the CEA website on the White House website. And we found exactly what you said, that over the next 4 years, the tax bill, the one big beautiful bill, would boost GDP, would boost the economy by about 4.2 to 5.2% over the next 4 years relative to what happens if the bill doesn't pass. It'll create about 7 million new jobs, and it'll boost take-home pay for a typical family of four, take-home pay by about $8,000 to $13,000, right? So these are very significant growth effects, and that's why it's so critical that we get this bill over the line.
You know, what the hell was the last administration doing? I mean, we were getting choked to death by inflation. People putting stickers on gas pumps. I did that. I mean, it's amazing what this president is doing. And this is what, week 17? We're just getting started, man. The Broad Coalition cheers nearly 1,000 groups from Main Street shops to top manufacturers endorsing the reconciliation juggernaut. Scalise warns failure is not an option. As savings hit $1.6 trillion and America First energy deportation and defense provisions roar ahead. I mean, even Democrats, like, don't you want to believe they want to see that their constituents thrive in America? I guess no, they just want everyone to be on the government dole. They want everyone constantly begging for help so they can provide answers and support, but never give them. This is real action.
Eat and win. Thanks, Jason. This week, House Republicans face a historic moment that has the potential to revive the American dream and solidify the comeback that has already begun under President Donald J. Trump. From our nation's farmers to police officers working 60 hours a week, from America's top manufacturers to small businesses on Main Street, our one big, beautiful bill holds promise for every American. In fact, nearly 1,000 organizations have already expressed support for the policies within the bill. The Job Creators Network described our reconciliation bill as, quote, exactly what the country needs to jumpstart the economy and guarantee the safety and prosperity of Americans for decades to come, end quote. The National Association of Manufacturers said of this landmark legislation, quote, we need certainty now, and this is the moment to deliver one big, beautiful bill that lets us compete and win, end quote. Their warning could not be more true. The time to get this done is now. Not only does this legislation make the 2017 Trump tax cuts permanent and implement no tax on tips and overtime pay, it also unleashes American energy, cuts waste, fraud, and abuse, and allows President Trump to continue his successful deportation and border security operations. And that's only naming a handful of things this bill accomplishes. Our reconciliation bill delivers on President Trump's America First agenda, and it does so while saving the American people over $1.6 trillion. The one big, beautiful bill is truly a once-in-a-generation chance to get America back on track. House Republicans must seize this opportunity, and quickly. As my good friend Jason Smith just said, failure is not an option. With that, I turn it over to our leader, Steve Scalise.
Cut taxes. Gain. Senator Tuberville cites the Laffer curve. Lower rates, refill Treasury coffers, supercharge growth. Message to GOP, deliver Trump's tax win now, or brace for 2025 voter wrath.
So let's get this, and again, going back to the Laffer curve, we all know, everybody understands the more you lower taxes, the more money that comes into the federal government. And we have to understand that. A lot of people don't believe that. Democrats keep fighting back on that. But as you said, it has been proven right. So let's get this done. Let's let President Trump have his tax cuts that he ran on. We need to do that. But if we don't get a tax bill done in the very near future, it won't get done this year, and it will be a disaster for the Republican Party. And again, going back.
Officers winning big. Street cops grinding 100-hour fortnights, hail the overtime tax wipeout. More take-home means veteran retention, family time, safer neighborhoods. It turns appreciation into pay and pride. Rank and file momentum builds. Listen to this.
Period. No tax on overtime. It would be a huge advantage to law enforcement across the country.
We work sometimes 100+ hours of pay period. It's a lot of time taken away from the family, so that would be pretty special.
We do work a tremendous amount of overtime right now due to our short staffing. It would be nice to have that little, I guess, a gift to us to make a little extra money.
No tax on overtime for officers is a big deal.
Police officers work a lot of overtime. They work a lot of extra duty details just to help make ends meet.
To have something like this in play would just help senior officers perhaps stay a little bit longer, to help be that guidance for that department and that community, to help teach those policy and procedures that we know of, and to help with the retention.
I think that would really benefit those, especially younger cops that have younger kids and a lot of families. I think that would mean a tremendous amount.
If there was no tax on overtime, we'd be working about as hard as we currently do, but we would have that appreciation that goes along with it.
This White House loves America. The border fix demanded. Trump vows the bill won't bankroll blue state bungling or Newsom's California chaos, slamming Democrat open border carnage. They let 21 million migrants, including stone-cold killers, to pour in. Protect the taxpayers, reward states that make America great. Here's the president.
Do any damage? We're going to make a couple of tweaks. I mean, we don't want to benefit Democrat governors, although I would do that if it made it better, but they don't know what they're doing. We don't want to do any damage to a state. We want to help all the states, but we have governors that are from the Democrat Party. Let's say New York, Illinois, big ones, and let's say Gavin Newsom, who's done a horrible job in California. We want to benefit the company. We want to benefit Republicans because they are the ones that are going to make America great again. The Democrats are destroying our country, and you see that with the past administration, with an open borders policy that allowed 21 million people into our country, and many of those people are stone cold murderers, killers, and trouble. Yeah.
Schumer sparks fury from the Senate steps. He rails that MAGA's fossil fuel revival hurts kids and the planet. But families haunted by $6 gas remember green dreams all too well. 2025 shapes into cheap energy versus climate dogma showdown.
Oil, gas, and coal 10 years from now, because clean energy is the future. It's cheaper and better. It's going to hurt our country, our families, our children in so many ways. This ideological obsession that the hard right, led by the oil, gas, and coal industry, have against clean energy is going to be very harmful. It's going to be one of the worst. There are many, but one of the worst things that this administration is doing. 10 years.
More fear porn from Chuck Schumer. The left cries bull. Activist David Hogg brands the big bull bill, citing Medicaid and SNAP cuts for $55 million to bankroll a $5 trillion billionaire break. His rant floods X, but voters must choose handouts for cartels or pay raises for workers.
That rely. So right now, Donald Trump is promoting his big bullshit bill that cuts $800 billion in funding for Medicaid. On top of that, that would mean that 13.7 million Americans lose their health care that are the most vulnerable people in our society that rely on Medicaid for life-saving care. On top of that, as if that wasn't cruel enough, they are cutting SNAP benefits. There are over 42 million Americans that rely on SNAP, otherwise known as food stamps. That is going to have a detrimental impact on our society, especially on the young children that rely on SNAP in order to get nutrition and to feed themselves. And why are they doing this, right? We have to ask ourselves that. And not only is it the usual kind of bullshit cruelty that Republicans are trying to push through, even more than that, it's so that they can help billionaires with a $5 trillion tax cut that is going to disproportionately help the wealthiest people in our society. Our government should not exist only to benefit the wealthiest people in our society. It should exist for the benefit of all American people. This bill does the opposite of that. That is why when you hear the big, beautiful bill, you need to think the big bullshit bill, because that is what this is. It is a tax cut for billionaires that is fueled by harming the most vulnerable people in our society and cutting life-saving and essential programs for them so that we can make the rich even wealthier. It's bullshit. So right now,
more fear porn from David Hogg. Yeah, I wonder how many jobs those billionaires are going to create. Oh yeah, 7 million. So follow the real news, folks. If this thread armed you against the corporate spin, smash follow and join the next news front line. We hold hard pass White House creds, stand front row at briefings, and drop the receipts. The Beltway media berries. More scoops, more context, zero disappointment. There's yours truly, pointing at Caitlin Collins right there, and she's about to do her news hit at the White House. Gotta love it. So the implications are crystal clear. This is not just another piece of legislation. It is a complete reimagining of how the American economy can work for the people, not against them. But here's what should really make you think. While Democrats scramble to throw roadblocks and spew fear porn, the American people's determination for economic freedom cannot and will not be denied. The tide of prosperity is rising, and no amount of leftist opposition can hold it back. So sound off in the comments below. How would an extra $8,000 to $13,000 in your pocket change your family's life? Your stories matter, and we want to hear them. And tap the more word right below this video on YouTube. Head to shop.nextnewsnetwork.com because supporting real news matters now more than ever.